Matter protests revived, I had seen a headline that said that the protest numbers were at the same level as the protest of '68, which was with the sanitation workers. But one thing that stood out to me was the people who were using protest signs that were exactly the same as the ones from the 50s and 60s, specifically the I Am a Man protest sign. The fight for civil rights with Black Lives Matter, it's kind of like we've just been given this very odd family heirloom from our ancestors of continuing that fight. At the same time, we also got like all the, I guess, accessories that come with it, which includes this protest sign. I was thinking about with these protests, if you went to your grandma's house and you're like, Grandma, I'm gonna go protest now, she might just go to the linen closet and pull out one of these signs and it would still work. The message is still the same for the same reasons, for equality, for the end of police brutality. This is the one of the first pieces that has been donated. It is called Peaceful Protest. It is specifically a commentary on a narrative about the civil rights movement that I've heard in many classes and in some documentaries and in some books that I don't generally agree with. A lot of people, I have been told by them, that the civil rights movement was a quote unquote peaceful protest. And when you look at the civil rights movement, you can make that argument that it was peaceful, but when you really look into it and see that people were murdered, people were maimed, that protesters of this movement went through intensive training before they marched on how to respond to counter-protesters, this was anything but peaceful. And a big key with a lot of my pieces that I make is the material that I use is really important. So this is an oil painting and charcoal drawing on top of linen. And I specifically chose linen because I am working off of a photo from the civil rights movement that I found in a public archive. And it is a police officer confronting a civil rights protester. And so they are the main thing in the foreground of the painting and they stand out the most. But behind them, you have the rest of the protesters who have a solemn silence to them of continuing to march on, even when one of their own is either about to be let go, most likely not, or brutally beaten, as you can see with the police officer holding the club at the ready. And that's kind of a theme that's in a lot of my artwork. A lot of it stems from me looking at how things that are happening today are almost eerily similar to what was happening in the past. So I can see a lot of commonality between the Black Lives Matter movement and the civil rights movement